Hello, everyone. Well, my name is Gabriel as well, as she said. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's webinar, we're going to be diving into one of the hottest topics in healthcare right now, peptides. Of course, I know a lot of you are curious about what are peptides, what they do, what each specific peptide does, and where to get the right information to proceed safely, right? So our main goal is to give you the highest quality education here. We do gotta go into this because it's just a disclaimer that we gotta give. We note that we don't provide any medical advice. This is purely educational, and we always recommend that you consult with your primary healthcare provider before making any medical decisions. Okay. Now, moving on from that, peptides is not a new thing. It's been around for many years. It started in almost 1921 with insulin, then 1985 with leuprolide. So it's been around for many years, but it's been exploding these past couple years. So we want to make sure you have all the facts. I'm thrilled to introduce our main presenters. We have Kerryann Gross. She brings 24 years of experience to the health industry. She's a board certified family nurse practitioner. She's worked in trauma, gastrointestinal. She works in emergency, and the last few years she's been in wellness and longevity, and she's an expert in it. She took SSRP peptide therapy certification, which is widely considered a top tier, highly respected program in functional, regenerative, and cellular medicine. Her practice name is Evexia. We have all the information down there that you're going to be able to look into if you want to contact her. And what works amazing with her is that she medically manages weight loss. She also does advanced hormone replacement therapy for men and women, and she does comprehensive lifestyle management as well. So we also have Thuy Cao, the owner of Voshell's Pharmacy and Soleil Pharmacy. Thuy brings a deeply well-rounded perspective when it comes to wellness and peptide therapy. She has a master's degree in from the University of Tours in France. She transitioned into pharmacy. She has a license as an esthetician, and she's my boss. So hello, boss there. So further ado, one quick note before we get started on this webinar. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to ask them there in the chat. We have our account executives, and we have Kim here, the director of sales as well, that can answer any of those. So no question is a wrong question. All right. If that's it, let's get started with Thuy. Take the floor.
Hold on, let me unmute you.
Sorry, let's see, Thuy.
Yeah,
I believe you muted. Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to this Wednesday webinar. This is a recap of the webinar that the second part of the peptide webinar we did last month. It's just a little bit to unpack what the PCAC have ruled last month, and then getting you a little bit more answers to what's going on in the peptide world. You're going to ask why a pharmacy is talking about peptide. One of the reasons is why, because in our pharmacy, we get questions and questions like people asking us how to treat what they already have. They're starting now asking questions on how do I live longer, better. I want to be strong in my 70s as I was in my 30s. And that's just kind of that trend that we're seeing. And this is why we created this year the health plan program. I'm pretty sure that you all search BPC 157, TB 500, all those questions you have looked online, and also some studies, trying to find your hands on studies. The there are three things that our health plans program is about, is that to focus on hormones, metabolism, and bones. Why I am talking about this is because peptide is also, it's not a separate thing. It is one of the tools that is going to be available for us inside the work that we're doing every day at the pharmacy. We're just not a regular pharmacy, we're a compounding pharmacy to try to help our patients age better. And it's all about wellness and health plan program. So the market, as you know, is broken. And it's costing patients their health. So that's why we are worried. There are statistics that shows that 48% of physicians every day see their patients coming in, asking them questions about peptide. On this slide, one of the main point that I want to stress is to be careful about the unverified website sources that are already advertising those FDA-approved peptides. And this is kind of what we are trying to help you clear the myth or the disbelief or the lies that's out, around the peptide talk. Next slide, please. So we want to make sure you're unsure about who to actually trust. And that is, I believe, the real problem tonight. It's not the science, it's about the trust. So before I ask you to believe anything, I'm going to spend a few minutes to tell you what is real right now, and to give you some informed decisions. We have last month's, hold on one second. Slide 5 is slide 5. One slide before that.
Right here?
Right here, thank you. So our positions tonight is going to hold on some of the answers tonight. One of the positions that we have is that we will not compound a peptide that is not legally permitted. And let me say that a second way, because on its own, it sounds like we are very being difficult. We are not. The FDA is doing its due diligence right now, and that due diligence exists to protect the consumers at this point. We're committed to protect the health of our patients and doing it to a legal standard. So protecting you is actually helping you. So can you move to the next slide? I'm gonna talk about the process on what really happens when a peptide reaches you. This is what exactly happens in our lab. I want to walk you through it so that you are informed, because almost nobody shows you this part. So the step one is the source. We buy the active ingredient only from FDA-approved and registered suppliers. Every lot that comes into the pharmacy has a kind of a certificate of analysis, which tells us, the chemical ingredient itself. The certificate tells us about the potency and each lot as well. So not two lots are identical, unfortunately. And we do the math here before we compound to make sure that you're getting the real potency. That is what makes a prescription strength. Somebody that we sat down and we actually do the math specifically for that lot. Step 2 is that we're compounding into an ISO certified clean room trained by our staff. And every preparation gets a lot number and a beyond use date. That part I want you to hear it twice, because it is going to be the most useful thing you will learn tonight. The lot number and the beyond use date. Every vial that we carry here that we're compounding with comes with a lot number and a beyond use date. That is exactly what you should be looking for if you get a compound medication. Why does the lot number matter? It's because whenever there is a recall, God forbid, that number is how we find you, is how we find every prescription that went out and every single patient. So that is why it's super important. Step number 3 is that when it's compounding, we don't send it out to you. We send it to third-party testing. That runs bacterial, endotoxin testings and all of that, making sure that there's no paragen and so that it cannot cause any infections. Look at the bottom of this slide. It says here that a research chemical vial skips all 3 of those steps. There is no lot number. There is no beyond use date when you're getting a research grade chemical compound. Can you move to the next slide, please? So there's 5 things that is actually wrong on the internet. They're saying that the peptides are FDA approved now, and that you can get BPC 157, and then the research chemical is just as good as the manufacturer, the compounded peptide. And then if a prescriber prescribed it, then it must be fine. And it worked as magically as advertised by those influencers on social media. There's some due diligence on that end. And then can you move to the next slide, Kim?
Yes.
So when people say that the peptides are FDA approved now, that is not correct, unfortunately. Here's what happened in July. The FDA, the advisory board approved those 6 peptides. However, then advisory committee. They are an advisory committee that advised the FDA. It does not make any ruling. It does not make any law. So we still have, even though the vote was 8-6, the FDA has to complete its formal rulemaking. That is a public process that takes time. Nobody has, at the moment, know how long it's going to take. Next slide, please. This is exciting news that happened, that the advisory board just overruled what some of the FDA-owned scientific staff have objected. We are super, we know that some of the peptides that before 2019 were approved were suddenly moved into the category where nobody can compound. As you can see, the votes were 8-6, and most of the peptides, there was only 1 that was rejected. Those peptides, Ms. Kerryann will go over that with you shortly. Next slide. So you've seen that sometimes it's shown that you can get BPC 157, that is available. Like I just told you, it is not compatible right now as a 503 pharmacy. So there's some risk associated with this if you're getting it from by any pharmacies or online. I would be very cautious about this. Next slide, please. like I mentioned earlier, that the research chemical is just good as the compounded one. There are some sterility requirements and endotoxin testing, and also beyond use date to recall if something happens. Is exactly what happened. It's the same process that we're going through. Like if you had those salmonella recalls from your lettuce, it's the same thing. We got to have a way to recall if the product, if we found out there's danger within this product to our patients, or it's contaminated. And so forth. So that is why I would be very wary if you're getting compounded from a research grade chemical. Next slide, please. If the provider prescribes it, it must be fine. There is that patient relationship, and then providers know their patients. Most patients never find out when they're buying something online doesn't find out which pharmacy actually fills their prescriptions. And I will advise patients to actually look at the process and then find out who that pharmacy is and what is actually their compounding process. If it's actually made within an ISO certified lab that it has to be kept sterile, where are they asking them questions? Can I see the certificate of analysis? As the providers, you're entitled to see all of that. And then ask, what is your due process to make a compound? Those are those questions that I would advise you to ask your providers and the pharmacies. Now I'm going to hand it over to the next slide. I believe Kerryann, she sees those questions every day in her consultation room with patients who are holding screenshots of what they found online. Kerryann?
Thanks, Thuy, and thanks, Gabriel, for the introduction, and welcome everyone. I wanted to take over on slide number 5 because this is something I see regularly. As a matter of fact, today a patient called me. She wants to get in. She's a weight loss patient. She is on tirzepatide and she's done extremely well. And now she is doing a high protein up to 200 plus grams of protein a day, and said, you know what, I want to come off tirzepatide. I want to do the Wolverine stack. And I know that the Wolverine stack works because this influencer is part of her hot girl stack. So she looks good, and can you find that for me? I hear this today. I heard it today, and I hear it every single day. So the first thing is, patients, providers need to know that just because an influencer is getting paid for it, it doesn't necessarily work. We don't know their cellular metabolism. We don't know their history. And furthermore, we don't know what complications they have until there is one. You'll read about it or whatever happens. I don't know how many people follow the news about, what's going on with this person died of blah, 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 or this person has a bad side effect of it. But I do want to move into the fun stuff, which is all the peptides. Next slide, please. I'm going to walk you through the 6 peptides that PCAC actually recommended, not yet FDA approved, but I do want to put a disclaimer that these are preclinical studies that the research has shown. And human data is very, very limited. Next slide, please. So this is one of the famous peptides, BPC 157. This is the gut and tissue repair peptide. I have heard on social media and among athletes this has been used, abused, and recommended for tendon repair, for gut healing, and for recovery in general, and deep tissue skin wounds like stage 4 skin wounds that actually go way into the deep tissues. Some of the things that patients, if and when FDA approves it, I think one of the things that patients need to understand is when you're going in to ask for a peptide, what is it for? What is it used for? Again, when it does become legal, where's the source coming from? That is going to be our main focus, is where's the source coming from and who is prescribing it. Next slide, please. KBV has been known to be, in the research, known to be good for inflammatory bowel disease. Now, my history in GI, 7 years, I dealt with a lot of patients with ulcerative colitis, and Crohn's disease that have fulminant, meaning they're completely inflamed, they are completely miserable, whether it be from bleeding. Next step is to get a colostomy, I mean, as young as in the 20s. So I can see why this is widely researched and push for the FDA to approve. There's millions of patients with ulcerative colitis that really need help. But again, the human data is very limited, and we're still looking at preclinical trials. Next slide, please. TB500, it is part of the what's called the Wolverine stack. This is, again, part of the recovery for tissue repair, tendon, ligaments, muscle angiogenesis, which has been studied mostly in horse medicine, which is equine medicine. Next, please.
Sorry, one question. I think everyone's gonna have. What is the component, like the peptides that make the Wolverine stack? I think
The
everyone's.
Wolverine stack. This is MOTS-c and TB500, the combination. So I was going to get to the MOTS-c part. So MOTS-c is used widely for obesity and osteoporosis. It promotes muscle regeneration. So actually muscle growth with this, and it decreases, it kind of works almost like what is soon to come the retatrutide. It works with the TB500. It's similar to what retatrutide is supposed to do with muscle building, appetite suppression, and promoting weight loss. It's been studied to improve insulin resistance as well, and metabolic dysfunction, meaning it speeds up the metabolism. Okay. Epitalon is another peptide of, I didn't even go through the chains, but this is a 4-chain amino acid peptide that's been studied for sleep deprivation, circadian rhythm disruption, and immune system regulation. I was actually doing a little bit of extra study on this because I realized that the preclinical trials is used widely in Northern Europe right now and Russia within a lot of patients right now over there. And it's of course not approved here in the US, but they're getting good data from that. And sleep deprivation is one of the biggest reasons that patients do not lose weight. They don't lose weight because their body is working off of other fuel systems. So this is a very interesting peptide here. Semax. Semax has been studied for promoting neuroplasticity. And so outside of what's on this slide here, as it is used in Russia also for stroke recovery and cognitive conditions, it's also used for a lot of anxiety, depression, mood disorders, learning disabilities right now, ADHD. It's not here in the US, of course, it's abroad, but it's been not studied on humans, but it is treated right now. All the research is preclinical studies and very limited human research on that. This is the one that was rejected. Why the committee said no. The human data was extremely limited. I think they only had 3 users that were able to be studied with this. The half-life was short and the mechanism of action was poorly understood. So there was a huge concern with the purity of the peptide, and so it was rejected. Next slide. Thuy, do you want to take over?
Yeah. So thank you, Kerryann, for going over those peptides. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of questions for you at the end. Fantastic. I just want to talk briefly about what does this mean and what you can get through any 503A pharmacy. So legally, those peptides that was just mentioned cannot be compounded by 503As at the moment. Moving to the next slide, please. Some of the peptides that actually, I just wanted to give you some examples of what can be compounded at the moment through Voshell is NAD+, also PT141, only as a nasal spray because the commercial one is an injections. So there should be a medical reason why the nasal spray is needed for that patient. And that is the only form that you can do at the moment. GHKCU, which is the copper peptides that women are craving about. Now, if you go to, and see that women is looking for those copper peptide that promotes collagen and also wound healing. At the moment, it's only permitted as a cream. You are going to see some of that as an injection. It is not permissible as an injection. So the form matters also. It's just not the peptide, but the dosage form. Next slide. So this is like, if you'd like to talk about if your patient wants to know about how peptide can help you, and if you have any questions, there's going to be a QR code of where you can, at the end, sign up for consultation. Ms. Kerryann also is available to discuss patient-related cases for providers as well. If you need a peptide readiness guide for a limited time, I think we have also a QR code sign up as well. I believe Kim has, do you guys want to go over some questions in the Q&A at the moment? Any questions, Gabrielle?
Yeah, we do have a few questions here.
Look. Can you explain the various forms and channel works? Nasal spray versus injection versus pills. Is there a general rule to which ones work with which method?
I can answer that. I'm going to tell you that anything that's taken orally, it's going to have to go through that first pass effect in the liver and not all absorbed. Injection for most things will be readily available in the bloodstream. However, not all things, not all medications in general need to be injectable. They may need to be ingested through the gut. For better absorption, especially if we're talking about gut inflammation, and the need for reabsorption in the small intestines.
Yeah, I think one of them is that a lot of people may be having questions with is GHKCU, right? Because there's the thought that you can inject GHKCU, and a lot of people are getting that information out there, and they don't know if it's topical or you're supposed to like swallow a pill or anything or inject it, right? So, what
Yeah.
do you think about that one?
So I'm seeing a lot of GHKCU in beauty products. Um, yes, in beauty products right now, supposedly to regenerate the collagen in the skin, for a more youthful look. The research is just does not support one over the other, and it's just limited data out there. So
Yeah.
that's all I have to say about that. I have to go with where the research is.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect.
We have another question coming in about peptides and diverticulitis. I'm sorry, I cannot speak today.
So diverticulitis is more of an infectious process of the diverticulum, which is the little pockets in the colon. I call them wrinkles of the colon because most people get them when they're a little bit older. So that's an infectious process, not necessarily an inflammatory condition, which is autoimmune, like ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. Those are more of an autoimmune disease process where the actual gut starts attacking itself and the gut gets inflamed. Autoimmune conditions are the body attacking itself. And really, science has only speculated where autoimmune conditions come from, but there is no concrete definition of concrete origin of where autoimmune conditions originate. However, diverticulitis itself is more of an infectious process.
Excellent. Someone actually is asking,
There was one at the very top. Sorry, I just don't want to leave the one that asked the
course.
first, which was has diverticulitis. Yeah, yeah. Would the peptide for gut work to decrease inflammation?
So the research more is out there for autoimmune inflammatory conditions, not infectious. So that's what the preclinical research is showing.
Okay, perfect. About what studies are on it for osteoporosis from Chris.
I'm sorry?
I think that was for a specific slide that we had there. What studies are on it for osteo? So I don't know if there's any peptide. Yeah.
Yeah, so the research is showing more that MOTS-y will help with bone density, osteoclast and osteoblast. But, in my studies in longevity and my delve into osteoporosis with longevity, there's so much more that osteoporosis can be treated early on. Of course, I'm not your provider, so there has to be a deep dive into other things that is causing osteoporosis or has promoted osteoporosis, whether it be exercise, hormones, diet, so many other things, that medications that push the buck with osteoporosis in general in the longevity wellness space. But MOTS has been researched in preclinical trials for osteoporosis.
Ooh,
Great, thank you.
what patients should generally not be considered candidates for peptide therapy? Great question.
So I'll take this as well. I think in general, what we want peptides to do is it's going to be regenerative. So in our good cells, patients who are cancer patients should probably not be considered for peptides, as the same thing that would happen to good cells may happen to bad cells.
There's another question we have here about peptides and the effects of MS.
I think Samax is being studied with MS.
That's wonderful to hear. All right.
All of it is preclinical trials.
Yeah.
Wonderful
Um,
question.
It's such
Let me
an
just-
interesting one.
Let me just butt in. I saw that there's a lot of attendees that are multitasking, and I would like to give them the floor because they may not be able to type any questions. So we're going to open up the mic and let those questions pour in, because I know that there's some of our drive-ins, some of our multitasking. So go right ahead. We'll leave the door open and the mic open if you can, to ask any questions if you're not able to type them.
Hi.
Hi there.
So I has MS and she's really struggling, and I just wanted to know anywhere you could point me or anything you could suggest for her to have relief with some of these neurological symptoms and mineral deficiency she's having. Thank you.
Great question. Great question. And thank you for grabbing the mic.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I think it needs to be a complete holistic approach with someone who can deep dive into her needs on biological standpoint as well as neurological standpoint. So I think it may be a team as well as, a deep dive in, it's hard to answer a lot of questions here for that, but I think it's going to be one of those one-on-one approaches, deep diving into her physiologic, biological needs, and just having a team to help her.
All right, cool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for taking the floor. Who else is next? Who else is multitasking out there?
I mean, I can keep going. Do you have anywhere you would point me to?
Where are you located?
In Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio. Not off the top of my head right now, but I do know quite a bit of providers nationally that may be able to point you in the right direction.
If you could just leave us your email and information, we'll be able to give you some guidance on that particular question and how you may be able to find it near you.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys.
No
You're very
problem.
welcome.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm also seeing, are there particular peptides that pair well with BHRT or other wellness protocols?
Great question.
So I'm gonna say that there is a stack that I have seen great results in, and that's the NAD plus, which can be compounded now, along with the BHRT, and sometimes microdosing the GLP-1s if the weight is already achieved.
Excellent.
My favorite stack, as they call it.
All right.
Great. Anyone else? I see some people just join in. Do you have any questions about anything at all? You're also free to speak up. You can unmute yourself and ask questions. We're open here for chat, and if you want to talk about it as well.
So I'm seeing here a few questions regarding parasites as well as detox. What are your takes on that, Kerryann?
Yeah, I'm not well versed in that for peptides that help with parasites. But I do know that some of the ones we mentioned for gut healing are being studied, like BPC 157.
For us, for our pharmacy, if it's detox or if you are referring to heavy metal detox and things of that nature, we've seen some providers we work with prescribing DMSA capsules that works. So you might want to look into that as well and talk to your providers.
Just to give the public a little bit more information, we do have QR codes that you may be able to scan if you want to have more information. Also, for us to have any feedback on what we've just spoke about, and we will be able to have these webinars every last Wednesday of every month, and we'll be able to send you more.
We'll be able to send you more information. Definitely reach out. We also have our website, our socials. If you are already on your phone, have no fear. We will send these links in non-QR code after the webinar. And I'm seeing one last question. So we can start. So, what protocols would cover of a broad peptide use for various DX and symptoms? It looks like if a patient was theoretically osteoporosis or Hashimoto's, gastritis, getting tested for SIBO.
So let me see if I understand this question. So the participant is asking for a protocol used for these various conditions?
Yes. What protocols would cover of a broad peptide use?
Yeah. So I don't think there is I don't have a protocol. And I have not seen one even through SSRP that has a broad peptide use for those conditions mentioned. I think, in treating patients, we have to realize that everyone is individualized. So I treat patients on their specific symptom management, biologic, physiologic needs, and what their blood work shows, because the blood never lies, what's going on inside. So I don't use a broad anything. I just don't.
That's excellent to hear. And a customized approach is what really brings us forward into this next generation of healthcare. Let me see. Last call for questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. Do you treat patients in Maryland? And I think I can say yes.
Hey, yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
we
thank
are
you.
in Maryland, like in Voshell as well. The pharmacy is in Baltimore, in Maryland, and Kerryann is also in Maryland. So
My
awesome.
practice is in Maryland, and I am licensed in 7 other states.
Could you
And
tell us
that's
which states those are?
So it's Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Florida, and Arizona.
Great, great.
Sounds like we may have some connections for you based on the chat here. So I think we're going to start to wrap up here. Make sure we're respectful of everybody's time. If Kerryann of Thuy, if we'd like to have a couple closing remarks or just anything you'd like to end on.
I guess one, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for the moderators and the whole staff of Voshells. I think it's important that patients and providers need to know what their limitations are as far as medication they want, because we are all patients, so we know when we have a pain point, we want to get this pain point fixed right away. But sometimes fixing that right away pain point may cost us something longer if you're not researching where you're getting medications from, where the provider is from, and how this is tolerated in your body, and not just a TikTok shop or a TikTok commercial that makes you feel good, even if you're in a desperate state. So I think that's my closing in that. Just vet where you're getting things from. Medication.
Agree.
Be safe.
Exactly. Be safe.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending, participating, giving us your knowledge. And we will have this all ready for you at some point tomorrow. Don't hesitate to reach out. And since we ended on TikTok, I believe like and subscribe our YouTube. So have a great night, everyone. Looking forward to next month's webinar. Have a great night.
awesome. Thank you so much, people.
Bye now.